known for a long time. The first speaker will be Orin Lewis, who is, I work a lot with Orin. He is an amazing community empowerer, I would call him. He empowers communities in the African Caribbean communities. He is the co-founder and CEO of award-winning charity, the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust. And the charity is dedicated to raising awareness of the shortage of Black and ethnic minority donors to the UK, stem cell and bone marrow, blood donation and organ donation registration. He is also co-chair of National Black, Asian, Mixed Race and Minority Ethnic Transplant Alliance, MBTA. He, as I said, also he works closely with us. He's one of the supporters that I've had since I started my role here in NHSBT. So I want to invite Orin this morning to start the conversation for us and talk about why consideration of culture matters in addressing inequalities in organ donation and transplant. So welcome, Orin.
Thank you, Winnie. Thanks very much for that introduction. And first of all, I just want to make sure that the technology works. So I've got 3 different screens here, and I'm going to hopefully make sure that you can actually see my presentation. Can I just double check that you're seeing a slide, full page, that says why consideration of culture matters in addressing inequalities in organ donation and transplant?
Yes, we can see it.
Good, good, good. If the slides don't move, please let me know. Yes, I'm Orin Lewis. Wear many hats, but the main hat for me is the one under my name on the screen, stepfather of Daniel DeGale, my stepson who had a major battle many years ago with first blood cancer, needing a stem cell transplant, then needing hundreds of blood transfusions, but at the end of his life needing an organ transplant because sadly passed away at the age of 21 from multiple organ failure, needing a liver and a kidney transplant. And so the title, why consideration of culture matters, hopefully I can capture this on this journey I'm going to take you through, which is partly personal, but also cultural. It has a bit of faith involved, and hopefully will set the scene for a lot of the debate that you will go on today. Now I'm going to cut straight to the chase on this, as to why why we're actually having this conference today. Well, what's fueling a lot of things, and hopefully you can see a slide that says myths, fears, and taboos. You can definitely see that. Yep, I'm seeing a nod ahead. Great. Myths, fears, and taboos. There are many barriers that fall behind that title, and I've highlighted on screen some of the things that we've been hearing for nearly 30 years, because next June we will be, as a charity, 30 years of the ACLT, and we've been hearing this, whether it be stem cell, blood, or in this case, organ donation, because you'll hear things like, they're going to use my organs, they're going to clone me, they're going to experiment on me, they will take my organs because doctors won't really try to save my life. And you can see the answers to that are in yellow. The body will be affected by organ removal. We hear this a lot. It is God's will that people have transplants and transfusions and things like that. We pray, and we say to people, please pray, but use prayer and technology together. They work together. And the bottom one, I haven't got time to stop and listen to messages about saving lives and so on. So we need to, first of all, make and put this on to our community, and I use the word communities in plural to highlight that we have a lot to do as well as stakeholders have a lot to do in terms of making it better for people of color, finding donors and transplants. From that perspective.
Orin?
Yeah.
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know if you need to.
Can you hear me?
You were breaking up a little bit, sorry.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Just try again.
Okay, I'm gonna carry on with this slide where it says problems caused by historical lack of trust. Can you hear me?
Not very well.
Okay, I'm going to keep trying.
Just keep going. Yeah, some people
Okay.
say they can hear you well. So
You sound like a Dalek, Orin.
Yeah, sounds like you're underwater. Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Oh, I apologize.
Do you
For
want
technology.
probably to stop sharing, and John might be able to share your slides for you? Sometimes our sharing will be, I don't know whether it's the video or the. Just keep going. We'll see.
Turn your camera off, Orin.
Orin,
if you just turn your camera off, it might help.
camera and see if that helps.
Camera up. Okay, I shall try that. Bear with us 1 second. I'm just going to. Okay, let me go back to. Can you still see the presentation?
We can.
You can. Okay. And can you hear me now?
It's better.
Okay, so I'm going to carry on here in the dark. The problems caused by the historical lack of trust. From that perspective, what you're seeing on the screen are real known events that have triggered a lot of mistrust from people of African and African Caribbean and African American descent in terms of trying to engage on the health infrastructure, and that is to do with multiple experimentation, cloning of a particular lady's cell, um, even down to not allowing during World War II the cross transfusion of donated blood from black soldiers to white soldiers in World War II. And there's many, many other things. So if you don't really acknowledge what's happened, then there will be no clear understanding of the very cultural differences, which include language, religion, between different ethnic groups. And of course, if there are a lack of culturally targeted campaigns, then you start to get miscommunications between the commission inside in this country, the NHS, and then transplantation organizations from the communities, and you start to get barriers. And so we need to try and change these barriers. Bear with us 1 second. I'm just going to go back into this. My screen has suddenly stopped.
While Orin is sorting that out, there's a chat. There is a poll in the chat. If you want to tell us where you're joining from, would be lovely to hear and to see the many organizations and charities are represented. So while Orin is doing that, engage in the chat box with the poll. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see the cultural beliefs and shapes, attitudes towards the body?
We can see that, yes.
Right. So in many cultures, family and community decision making plays a larger role than just individual autonomy. So when you have policies which assume individual consent, they may clash with collective or family-centric values. You'll find that in Asian and West African communities, you find a lot of that going on. Many cultures have very deeply held beliefs about what happens to the body after death, or about spiritual wholeness and purity. Examples: in some cultures, body integrity after death is viewed as important for the afterlife. You hear a lot of people from the Black community saying, I need to have my eyes to see where I'm going. So I'm not, don't ask me to donate my eyes, my corneas. I used to be of that view at one time, until I suddenly realized, why don't I just, it's silly, why don't I just take the box for eyes, corneas, because that's all I need. And so I did that years after I started my journey as a potential organ donor. In contrast, in other cultural and religious traditions, donation is seen as an act of compassion and generosity. So coming back again, if these beliefs are not respected or understood, campaigns like the NBTA and ACOT and many other groups are doing it, promoting donation may alienate certain communities and fail to increase participation if the communities and the faiths are not respected in the right way. So moving on, talking about faith, all the major religions of the world actually support principles of donation and transplantation. The only faith that really has any dilemma with health is actually those of the Jehovah's Witness, and that's more to do with blood donation. But on organ donation, as you can see in some of the actual quotations from different faiths, they all actually are saying the same thing. It is permissible to donate and to receive as part of organ donation as living and deceased donors. And you can cherry pick and have a read of what I put in there from the different faiths of Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, etc., etc. So moving forward, you've got to promote equity in access to transplants. When I say equity, in terms of being aware that communities face barriers to being listed for transplants, which is something that we need to start highlighting at the beginning, partly due to healthcare access inequalities, but also due to socioeconomic barriers as well. Recognizing and addressing these historic, cultural, and structural biases or barriers ensures helps build trust and increases the willingness to donate and to receive. Language is another barrier because for many people from different backgrounds, English is not the first language. So you've got to get the right messages. Translation is not just, you've got to have translation, but you've got to have it culturally adapted using community voices and values, the right gatekeepers. We've done work in appeals for patients from Islamic backgrounds. So we've gone into the mosque to highlight the need for organ donation. And of course, the main gatekeeper in the mosque is the imam. And if the imam is on board, like from a Christian point of view, if the pastor is on board, you have a better chance of actually converting people to actually wanting to be part of the solution rather than being part of the problem. So the need to stimulate conversations and debate about donation and transplantation is key to countering the low general awareness, which is where the NBTA comes in, because the NBTA, which I'm the chair of, our remit is to work in a collaborative way to saving lives across all forms of donation, stem cell, blood, and organ donation. So our mission is to bring together the parties, the partners, to provide a forum in a collaborative way to finding programs that are different, effective, and efficient in the fastest way possible. And for the last 12 to 13 years, that's what the NBTA have been doing. And our objective and goal is to save lives. And collectively, we have worked in unison alongside our associate members, Department of Health, NHSBT, Anthony Nolan, and others. So it's about raising awareness in a real efficient, cohesive way to get more donors to consenting to donate. And this is just a list of some of the members as I mentioned, who've actually been part of the NBTA along the years, across mainly across Black and South Asian communities, but also mixed heritage. And we continue, especially working alongside NHSBT, to in terms of organ donation, to raise the bar of what needs to be done to actually make a difference within the community that we represent. And there's just some examples of actual projects that we've done. There are peer-to-peer school mentoring. There are the Hindu, Sikhs, and Muslim Embrace group. National Kidney Federation, the Seventh-day Adventist group, Kidney Research, Team Margot. There's a whole list of different groups and different projects that are being done out there with support from NHSBT and Department of Health to making a difference. And I've got a visual slide here that just highlights some of the, as you can see, NKF and NBTA, you've got ACOT, and you've got many others working with NHSBT to spread audible, visual messaging that is resonating with our various different communities. But at the end of the day, it still comes back to the individual. So we work together, we understand and appreciate, as I showed earlier, there are barriers, and we have to work together. But at the end of the day, someone's got to search for the hero inside themselves to actually want to be a difference. And so for us, it's all about answering this question for the individual who's tentatively coming forward to register as a living donor, or who's questioning whether they should stay opted in or opted out of the deceased organ donor side of things. And so the question is always, what's in it for me? And we should be asking the question, we should be saying to them, demonstrating social responsibility, positive contribution, be a positive role model, and of course, help tackle a national health issue, a silent crisis, as we would call it at the ACLT. And where do individuals fit in? What you can do as an individual, talk to your family, register your wishes, ultimately carry a donor card. That's what we're trying to collectively, individually get people to do, because ultimately dreams can come true and donors can be found, so that we can get great statements like what you're seeing on the screen, where Deepak says, since my transplant, it's been my mission to encourage more people from the South Asian community to join the organ donor register. I know a lot of people who have been on the waiting list for a new organ for years, so I've been going into hospitals to give talks to patients about transplants and my own experiences. Right now, the ACLT is working on a campaign for a South Asian lady called Shaynaz. Her story's out in the public domain. It was in the Metro, in the Mail. She's been on dialysis for 18 years. And despite the fact that she's spoken to family members, siblings, there's still that battle because of culture, let alone faith, but mainly culture. There's too many barriers that are preventing even her own siblings, let alone the community, to step forward to see whether they can be of a match for her. So we need to really dig deep and appreciate that there are too many myths and fears and taboos about organ donation. That's all they are. We want to stop people clutching at straws, and we want people to be part of the solution for a very important health issue. Because as we know, anyone's relative or friend could need a donor. So it's all about educating, motivating. In this conference, we're speaking to the converted. We all are in agreement what needs to be done. But as long as we come away from today knowing, okay, there's nuances about the messaging about cultural and the cultural impact on organ donation and transplantation that we need to understand and take away from today the facts, figures, and the nuances behind those facts and figures that has created this barrier to people coming forward, because the lack of donors, especially amongst Black and South Asian people, is too high. So we're telling people to look for heroes from within themselves, their communities, their faith, because time is running out. The choice is ours. And we individually, wearing our stakeholder hats today, but also our individual personas and as family members and as part of our communities and our cultures and our faiths, we could actually save a life. So really just wanted to finish on that, because it's all about getting ready to, as my slide is highlighting, getting ready to actually get on the starting line like a 100-meter dash. It's a call to action, and it's a matter of, are we all ready? Apologies for the technical problems, but hopefully you got the essence of what I've presented, because it's all about that question, the cultural and cultural impact on organ donation and transplantation. Thank you for your time and your generosity. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line in the chat box. So I'll hand you back to Winnie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Orin. You're getting a lot of applauses and you're getting a lot of love. Thank you for your wonderful presentation despite the challenges. We really appreciate you for everything that you do. We see your passion and we see how it drives you. And I think you're empowering lots and lots of people and communities. And we're thankful for that. I'm going to be, I was just thinking about, as you were talking, about saying, an African saying, and it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This challenge, inequalities in donation and transplantation cannot be faced by one organization. We have to come together. We all have different expertise, whether it's from academia, whether it's from our professionalism, our professional backgrounds and career, whether it's the influence we have in our communities. Each of us can bring something to the table that can be really useful and helpful. So it's about, and especially we know the climate we are in. When we talk about culture and donation, we cannot fail to mention racism, which is a predictor of health outcomes. We know that. And in the current climate, we know that is something we have to face, but we cannot face it alone. We have to come together. So that's my call to you. And thank you so much, Orin. Next speaker for us today will be